Welcome to Peak Analytics.
Today, we're diving deep into the extraordinary life of Brian Wilson, the musical genius who gave us the Beach Boys and redefined pop music with his innovative songwriting and production. From his recent passing to his marriages, family dynamics, mental health struggles, staggering net worth, and a lifestyle shaped by both brilliance and adversity, we're covering every angle: his cause of death, age, children, career milestones, and so much more. Brian's story is a tapestry of creative triumphs, personal battles, and an enduring legacy that still resonates today. So, grab a drink, settle in for a long ride, and let's explore the life of this 20th century icon. If you're loving these in-depth looks at music legends, please hit that like button, share this video with your friends, and subscribe to the channel. Don't forget to tap the notification bell so you never miss an upload. We've got tons more stories like this coming your way. Brian Douglas Wilson was born on June 20, 1942, in Inglewood, California, and tragically passed away on June 11, 2025, at the age of 82, just 9 days short of his 83rd birthday. The eldest of three sons born to Audrey Neva and Murray Wilson, a part-time musician and machinist, Brian grew up in a working-class neighborhood in Hawthorne, California, alongside his younger brothers, Dennis and Carl, both of whom would join him in the Beach Boys. The Wilson household was a mix of musical inspiration and tension. Murray, an aspiring songwriter himself, encouraged his son's talents but was also domineering and abusive, both physically and psychologically, which left lasting scars on Brian. By age 2, Brian was already humming melodies like When the Kessons Go Rolling Along, and at 11, hearing George Gershwin's Rhapsody in Blue ignited his passion for music. Despite being nearly deaf in his right ear, possibly from a childhood injury or Murray's abuse, Brian developed an uncanny ability to craft harmonies, singing with his brothers and cousin Mike Love in their living room, which would become the seeds of the Beach Boys, formed in 1961. At Hawthorne High School, Brian was a multi-sport athlete, playing football and baseball, and later enrolled at El Camino College to study psychology, but music quickly took over his life. The cause of Brian's death was announced on June 11, 2025, through a heartfelt social media post by his children, stating he succumbed to complications from a major neurocognitive disorder, specifically dementia. Posts on X, such as one from @EsportFootball, highlighted how his health deteriorated following the January 2024 death of his second wife, Melinda Ledbetter Wilson, with fans like @Yusuf74 noting he seemed to go downhill after losing her. In May 2024, a Los Angeles Superior Court placed Brian under a conservatorship due to his inability to manage personal needs, with court documents revealing he was on dementia medication and struggling with memory, sometimes forgetting the names of his children. While no autopsy details have been made public, his family and medical team had been open about his declining health, which was exacerbated by grief over Melinda's passing. Brian's dementia was a progression of lifelong mental health challenges, including a diagnosis of schizoaffective disorder with mild manic depression, which had shaped much of his adult life. Brian's career with the Beach Boys is the stuff of legend. As the band's primary songwriter, producer, co-lead vocalist, bassist, and keyboardist, he crafted a sound that captured the sun-soaked optimism of 1960s California. Hits like Surfin' Safari, 1962, Surfin' USA, 1963, I Get Around, 1964, Good Vibrations, 1966, and God Only Knows, 1966, made the Beach Boys global stars, blending surf rock with intricate harmonies. His 1966 masterpiece Pet Sounds is widely regarded as one of the greatest albums ever, praised for its emotional depth, orchestral arrangements, and groundbreaking production techniques, influencing the Beatles' Sgt. Pepper's Lonely Hearts Club Band. Paul McCartney himself called God Only Knows the greatest song ever written. However, Brian's ambition led to the ill-fated Smile Project in 1967, which collapsed under his perfectionism, band tensions, and worsening mental health, including a nervous breakdown in 1964 that ended his touring with the Beach Boys. His struggles with drugs, marijuana, cocaine, and LSD, and his father's disapproval of his avant-garde direction took a toll. The 1970s were a low point, with Brian retreating into reclusiveness, overeating, reaching 340 pounds at one point, and producing less, though albums like Sunflower, 1970, and Surf's Up, 1971, showed flashes of brilliance. The 1980s marked a dark chapter under the control of psychologist Eugene Landy, who was hired to treat Brian's mental health but became exploitative, isolating him from family, taking royalties, and even co-writing songs like Love and Mercy. A 1991 lawsuit by Brian's family and a 1992 restraining order freed him from Landy's grip. The 1990s saw a resurgence, with Brian marrying Melinda in 1995, who became his manager and advocate. He released solo albums like Brian Wilson, 1988, and Imagination, 1998, and in 2004, he completed Smile as Brian Wilson Presents Smile, earning a Grammy for Best Rock Instrumental Performance. The 2012 Beach Boys reunion album That's Why God made the radio hit number 3 on the Billboard 200, proving his enduring talent. Brian won multiple Grammys, including a 2005 Grammy for Smile, and was inducted into the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame with the Beach Boys in 1988. His work has been covered by artists like Barenaked Ladies and featured in films like Forrest Gump, Love Actually, and Boogie Nights, cementing his cultural impact. Brian's personal life revolved around his 2 marriages. He married Marilyn Rovell, a singer with the Honeys, in 1964, but their 15-year marriage was turbulent, strained by his mental health, drug use, and the pressures of fame. Pet Sounds songs like Caroline, No, and You Still Believe in Me reflect their struggles. They had 2 daughters, Carney and Wendy, born in 1968 and 1969, who later formed Wilson Phillips with Chynna Phillips, scoring hits like Hold On, 1990. Brian admitted to being an absent father, encouraging Marilyn's affairs while pursuing his own, including with her sister Diane Rovell and Debbie Kyle, who inspired songs like My Diane, 1978. After their 1979 divorce, Marilyn remained a friend, co-managing their daughters' careers. In 1995, Brian married Melinda K. Ledbetter, a former model and Cadillac saleswoman he met in 1986. Melinda was his rock, helping him escape Landy's control and guiding his career revival. They adopted 5 children: Daria Rose, 1996, Delaney Ray, 1998, Dylan, 2004, Tristan, 2009, and Dakota Rose, 2010, and lived in Beverly Hills. Melinda's death in January 2024 at age 77 devastated Brian, who called her his savior and anchor in a tearful tribute. Her passing left him vulnerable, accelerating his health decline. Brian's 7 children are a core part of his legacy. Carney and Wendy achieved fame with Wilson Phillips, performing at his 2012 Grammy Museum tribute. Carney also appeared on Celebrity Apprentice and hosted the Newlywed Game, while Wendy pursued acting. Brian's adopted children with Melinda, Daria, Delaney, Dylan, and Dakota released a statement after his death, calling him a towering musical genius and expressing the grief. The 2024 conservatorship ensured their care in the family home with trusted staff, including housekeeper Gloria Ramos and publicist Gene Sivers. Brian's brothers, Dennis, drowned in 1983 at 39, and Carl, died of lung cancer in 1998 at 51, were integral to the Beach Boys, with Dennis inspiring Surfer Girl and Carl leading the band after Brian's withdrawal. His cousin Mike Love and bandmate Al Jardine remain active, continuing the Beach Boys' legacy. Brian's net worth at his passing was estimated at $100-110 million, per sources like CA Knowledge and Wealthy Gorilla. His wealth came from Beach Boys royalties. He wrote over 200 songs, solo projects, and licensing deals for films, TV, and commercials, generating $4-6 million annually. He owned luxury assets, including a Bugatti Veyron, $2 million, a Bentley Bentayga, $815,000, and a Mercedes-Benz S-Class. Real estate included a 7,000-square-foot Beverly Hills mansion, $9 million, and a Lake Arrowhead retreat. Despite his wealth, Brian lived modestly compared to rock star excess, prioritizing family and music. His financial disputes, like a 1990s lawsuit against music publisher Irving Almo for $100 million in unpaid royalties, underscored his fight to reclaim earnings lost to mismanagement. Brian's lifestyle was a blend of creative passion and personal struggles. In his prime, he was a studio wizard, spending hours perfecting tracks, often sleeping in the studio during Pet Sounds sessions. His early drug use, marijuana and LSD introduced by dentist Lauren Schwartz, cocaine with Dennis, fueled creativity but worsened his paranoia and auditory hallucinations, which he described as hearing voices in his head. Landy's 24-hour therapy in the 1970s and 1980s controlled his diet, medication, and social life, but Melinda's intervention restored his freedom. In later years, Brian found solace in family, attending his children's school events and enjoying Southern California's beaches, which inspired classics like Surfin' USA. He was a fan of the Beatles, Phil Spector, and Burt Bacharach, and loved comfort foods like pizza and ice cream, though Melinda enforced healthier eating to manage his weight, which once hit 340 pounds. His dementia diagnosis limited his mobility, but he remained engaged with music, attending Beach Boys tribute concerts and mentoring young artists. Controversies marked Brian's life. The Landy saga was a low point, with the psychologist charging $35,000 monthly and claiming co-writing credits on Brian's songs. A 1991 lawsuit by Mike Love claimed Brian and the band owed him royalties for 35 songs, settled for $5 million. Brian's drug use and mental health struggles were public, but he became an advocate for mental health awareness, speaking candidly in interviews and the 2014 biopic Love and Mercy, which portrayed his life through Paul Dano and John Cusack. The Beach Boys' internal feuds, particularly with Mike Love over creative control, and the cancellation of Smile haunted Brian, though its 2004 completion was a triumph. His 2015 hospitalization for back issues and 2024 conservatorship sparked fan concern, but his family emphasized his comfort at home. Brian's later years were a mix of reflection and productivity. He toured extensively, performing Pet Sounds Live in 2016 for its 50th anniversary and releasing albums like At My Piano, 2021, are solo instrumental work. His 2012 memoir, I Am Brian Wilson, co-written with Ben Greenman, detailed his mental health journey and creative process. He embraced digital platforms, sharing unreleased tracks on YouTube, and his music inspired covers by artists like Glenn Campbell and David Bowie. His influence spans genres, from indie rock to hip-hop, with Kanye West citing Pet Sounds as a production touchstone. What's next for Brian's legacy? His music remains timeless, with Pet Sounds and Smile studied in music schools. His children, especially Kanye and Wendy, may continue his advocacy for mental health, while Daria and others could manage his estate, ensuring royalties benefit future generations. The Beach Boys' catalog, valued at $700 million in a 2021 sale to Irving Azoff, guarantees ongoing revenue. Documentaries like The Beach Boys, 2024, and Love and Mercy keep his story alive, and fans on X continue to celebrate tracks like Don't Worry Baby. Brian Wilson's genius, his harmonies, vulnerability, and heart, will inspire forever. Alright, that's the full scoop on Brian Wilson. What's your favorite Beach Boys song or moment from his life? Drop it in the comments. I read every one. If you want another music legend deep dive, let me know. Like, share, and subscribe, and hit that bell to stay updated. Thanks for watching, and I'll catch you in the next one.